across live now to Israeli lawmaker in the Knesset, Ofer Cassif, now joining us here on RT International. A very good evening to you. Great to get you to share some of your Sunday with us here at RT International. We're getting mixed signals right now, Ofer. Israeli officials seemingly divided over the Iran attack, some calling for a tough response, others calling for restraint. What do you make of that possible divide in the rhetoric right now? What are your thoughts?
Good evening first. Thank you for having me. Obviously, I think that we must do whatever possible in order to de-escalate the situation. The attack yesterday by Iran on Israel is unacceptable for sure, because Israel is a sovereign state and its sovereignty should not be undermined, let alone attacked by any other state. So that cannot be accepted. But let's not forget that the Israeli governments, and not only the current one, though the current one is probably worse than others, violated time and time again the sovereignty of other neighboring countries like Lebanon, Syria, and Iran itself.
Yeah.
And that doesn't justify the attack on Israel yesterday. As I said very clearly, it should not be accepted. But we must be rational and not emotional. The only rational way to de-escalate the situation is to keep the sovereignty of all states in the region safe. That means that Israel should not undermine and violate the sovereignty of Syria, Lebanon, Iran, and others. At the same time, those countries should not violate the sovereignty of Israel. So I hope for sure that the government of Israel, which unfortunately proved in the last year and more that it's not exactly a sane government, I hope that it would not do anything against Iran, that it will not launch any attack on Iran, because the danger of a serious escalation towards a regional war and beyond is still here, and we have to do whatever possible to prevent that, to prevent it for the benefit of all nations around.
I think it's a really fair comment from you, Ofer, and I appreciate you saying that here. I also like what you said, that any reaction from now needs to be rational and not emotional. Meantime, the National Security Advisor, the Minister Ben-Gvir, he posted on social media that what is needed is, quote, a crashing attack. Is that going to help resolve the crisis in your view?
I'm sure that this is a rhetorical question. Obviously, the answer is not. But I have no expectations from Ben-Gvir and his thugs. We are dealing here with a full-fledged fascist and racist thug, a convicted criminal in the Israeli court. You know, he was convicted in supporting terrorism years ago. He hasn't changed his views, and he still behaves as a criminal thug, as a criminal supporter of terrorism, only this time under the auspices of his title as a minister. This is very dangerous for the Israelis as well. I must emphasize, he Ben-Gvir, but mainly Netanyahu as a prime minister, they pose a serious risk for the whole region, including the Israelis. That must be stopped, of course, by diplomatic means, not violent ones. And that's what we are trying to do within the parliament. Unfortunately, we are not the majority. It's not easy, but we should and will cling to our beliefs in peaceful means, in our objection to any kind of violence. And obviously, and this is something that I want to emphasize, in addition to what I said in the beginning, that respect for the sovereignty of all nations around should include the respect for the sovereignty of the Palestinian people, who are still under vicious occupation. So in order to prevent any kind of escalation, in order to stop the terrible bloodshed that continues mainly in Gaza, but also ethnic cleansing in the West Bank, as we saw yesterday, a violent attack by hundreds of settlers. In order to prevent those, for the benefit of everyone, including the Israelis, the occupation must be ended. That's the key for the future of everyone.
I think it's a very good point. That is the key, and I would wholeheartedly agree with you, Ofer. I wanted to ask you, 24 hours ago, Iran launched this massive attack, drones and missiles, ballistics. What's interesting is that long before it launched the attack, I mean, hours before, it called up Oman, it warned Oman, it called up Turkey, it warned Turkey. All the relevant parties involved in this, they all had ample warning. And then when the drones were first launched from Iranian territory, flying over Iraq very, very slowly, everyone knew you got a few hours before these drones arrive. And it almost seems that when you think with all the relevant parties in the know, you think about no one was killed. And it's amazing. We've got no reports of any fatalities in this Iranian attack. Was it more of a PR stunt to send a message than it was to cause damage on Israeli territory? What are your thoughts, Ofer?
First of all, I want to use this opportunity, with your permission, to wish good health and recovery for the little girl, 7-year-old girl,
who was
seriously wounded yesterday by the attack. So, look, as I said before, any violation of sovereignty of any state, including of Israel, is unacceptable. But it seems that there is a lot of PR, as you said, in this attack, which again is illegitimate. But it seems that PR plays much more important role than anything else. It is just to say, okay, we cannot just ignore the assault, the assassination that Israel apparently, according to foreign media, to foreign press, it was Israel that launched this assault in Damascus. So it seems that it was a case of saying, look, we cannot ignore, but we do not want to do it too severe,
Yeah.
And it seems in that sense that up till now, with all my criticism that I have towards the Iranian regime, and I do, it seems that the Iranian regime thus far played more rationally than the Israeli government. And I just hope that everybody, including the Israeli government, will stick to rationality, as I said before, rather than to any kind of infantile emotions like Ben Gvir's that may just cause a terrible damage and a terrible carnage to everyone.
Yeah.
It's very important for me to say that we, my friends and I, we do not want to see anyone getting hurt. Neither Palestinians, nor Israelis, nor Iranians, not anyone. We want peace to prevail. It is possible. We have to pursue and use rational means. That is to say, diplomatic ones, not military ones.
Rational and not emotional, as you've said, and rightly so, Ofer. Just listen, I'll let you go in a minute, Ofer, but just quickly, the UN is meeting right now in New York. Security Council has been called to convene in the wake of the Iran attack, and we're about to go live there in just a moment to see what they're having to say. But what are your expectations of the commentary right now at the United Nations? What do you think is going to be said?
Look, I really do not know what's going to happen. I can tell you what I wish to happen. And I wished, following what I said thus far, is that the United Nations will say that all countries and all nations in the region should respect the sovereignty of the others. That's the key. And as I said, the sovereignty of the Palestinians should be respected as well. And that means that the establishment of a independent Palestinian state in the old territory that Israel occupied in June 1967. That's the key. The world has to understand, the world's leaders and governments have to understand that the basis of the escalation and the basis of everything that goes on, unfortunately, in the region for at least in the last 6 months, but it began before, is the occupation. As long as the occupation goes on, neither of the peoples here will enjoy prosperity and peace. And that, of course, is against the interests of the peoples of the region. We want peace to prevail, and in order to achieve that, the occupation must be ended promptly. The Palestinians is a people, is a nation. It is entitled to independence and sovereignty just like any other people. That's the key for our future, and I may say that even for the world's peace future. And I hope we reach there.
Some very strong comments, a very intriguing commentary as well from Ofer Cassif, an Israeli lawmaker in the Knesset, joining us live here on RT International. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much. Have a nice evening and a peaceful one. Thanks.